Welcome to this presentation about beta-alanine performance booster, or just the itch. Beta-alanine is one of the most popular ingredients in pre-workout formulas, yet many athletes are unsure whether it truly enhances performance or simply causes that familiar tingling sensation. In this session, we'll clear up the confusion by explaining what beta-alanine is, how it works inside your muscles, and why it's linked to both endurance gains and the itching effect. We'll explore the science behind carnosine buffering, discuss which workouts benefit most from supplementation, and debunk common myths. We'll also cover proper dosing, timing, and whether you should try to reduce the itch. By the end, you'll have a balanced understanding of whether beta-alanine is right for you. Let's start by addressing why this supplement can be so confusing. If you've ever taken a pre-workout containing beta-alanine, you've probably experienced the infamous itch, a prickling sensation on your skin that begins shortly after ingestion. This feeling makes many people believe the supplement is working like a stimulant, even though beta-alanine isn't a stimulant at all. The tingling can be distracting, and some assume that its intensity correlates with performance, but the true benefits of beta-alanine are chronic rather than acute. They develop over weeks as carnosine levels in your muscles increase. That means you won't feel them kick in during a single workout, and there's no immediate rush like caffeine. Understanding this distinction is key to evaluating beta-alanine properly. To grasp why it behaves this way, we need to understand what beta-alanine actually is and what it does in the body. Beta-alanine is a non-essential amino acid, meaning your body doesn't rely on it to build proteins or hormones. Instead, its main role is to combine with another amino acid called histidine to form a dipeptide known as carnosine. Carnosine is stored inside muscle cells and acts as an intracellular buffer during high-intensity exercise. When you perform repeated sprints or long sets of 8 to 20 repetitions, hydrogen ions accumulate and pH levels drop. Carnosine helps soak up those hydrogen ions, delaying the drop in pH. Beta-alanine supplements provide extra substrate for carnosine synthesis, allowing your muscles to increase their buffering capacity. Now that we know how beta-alanine contributes to carnosine production, let's examine how carnosine actually delays fatigue during intense exercise. During high-intensity exercise, your muscles produce lactate and hydrogen ions as byproducts of anaerobic metabolism. When hydrogen ions accumulate, they lower the pH inside your muscle cells. This acidic environment slows down enzymes and contributes to that burning sensation you feel when approaching failure. Carnosine binds these excess hydrogen ions, helping to maintain a higher pH for longer. By keeping the pH within an optimal range, carnosine delays the onset of fatigue and allows you to squeeze out extra repetitions or sustain sprints for longer. Understanding this buffering role clarifies why increasing carnosine stores can improve performance. To see how this translates to the actual sensation of fatigue, let's look more closely at how fatigue develops during intense training. Fatigue during intense training isn't just a matter of depleted energy, it's also tied to changes in your muscle chemistry. As you push through high-intensity efforts, your muscles break down glucose into lactate and hydrogen ions. The hydrogen ions lower the intracellular pH, impairing enzyme function and making it harder for muscle fibers to contract. This drop in pH is what we experience as muscle burn and eventual failure. By buffering these ions, carnosine slows the drop in pH, which extends the time to fatigue. Beta-alanine supplementation allows your muscles to build higher carnosine levels, meaning you can sustain your effort longer without feeling the burn as quickly. Next, we'll discuss which types of exercises stand to benefit the most from this buffering effect. The benefits of beta-alanine are most pronounced in activities that last between 1 and 4 minutes, or involve repeated high-intensity efforts with short rest periods. Think of CrossFit workouts, high-intensity interval training, hypertrophy sets of 8 to 20 reps near failure, or sports like rowing, boxing, and combat sports that require sustained bursts of effort. In these scenarios, muscles experience significant metabolic stress and acid accumulation, giving carnosine a chance to shine. Conversely, endurance activities that rely heavily on aerobic metabolism or extremely short power movements see less benefit. Next, let's clarify where beta-alanine won't help so you can decide whether it fits your goals. Not every workout calls for beta-alanine. If your primary focus is maximal strength or powerlifting with 1 to 5 rep sets, your efforts typically last less than 30 seconds, and acid buildup isn't the limiting factor. So carnosine buffering offers minimal benefit. Similarly, sprinters who compete in races under 30 seconds, Olympic lifters performing quick lifts, and bodybuilders taking long rest periods between low-volume sets won't see much return on beta-alanine supplementation. For these athletes, other supplements like creatine or caffeine may be more relevant. Now that we've defined the scope of who benefits, Let's look at what the science says about the magnitude of those benefits. The scientific literature shows that beta-alanine can produce small but meaningful improvements in performance. Meta-analyses examining multiple studies have found that supplementing with beta-alanine yields roughly a 2 to 3% increase in time to exhaustion and repeated sprint performance. That may sound modest, but in competitive environments, a few extra seconds or reps can make a big difference. It's important to note that these benefits are average across participants and study protocols. Some individuals respond more strongly than others. Understanding the modest but real impact helps set realistic expectations. In the next section, we'll address why you won't feel beta-alanine working in the same way you feel caffeine or other stimulants. Unlike stimulants that act on the central nervous system, beta-alanine's effects are not acutely perceptible. It works by building up carnosine levels in your muscles over several weeks. There is no immediate buzz or performance boost after a single dose. Moreover, the tingling sensation known as paresthesia is unrelated to its ergogenic effect. You may experience persistent benefits even if you don't feel anything at all. This can be confusing if you associate sensations with effectiveness, but remember, the absence of tingling doesn't mean it isn't working, and the presence of tingling doesn't guarantee improved performance. To understand why this tingling happens, we need to look at what causes the itch. The prickly sensation people experience after taking beta-alanine is called paresthesia. It happens because high levels of beta-alanine in your blood activate nerve receptors in your skin. The tingling usually begins 15 to 20 minutes after ingestion and gradually fades. Its intensity depends on factors like your body size and the dose you take. Importantly, this sensation is harmless. It doesn't indicate nerve damage or an allergic reaction. More importantly, it has no correlation with performance gains. If you find the itch unpleasant, you can manage it by splitting your daily intake into smaller doses or using sustained release formulations, which we'll discuss later. For now, let's dispel the myth that the itch itself is a marker of effectiveness. One of the biggest misconceptions around beta-alanine is that the itch equals effectiveness. Marketers sometimes lean into the sensation to make users feel like this stuff is working, but the truth is that tingling intensity has no link to improvements in performance. You can completely eliminate paresthesia by using sustained release formulas or splitting your daily intake into smaller doses, and you'll still build muscle carnosine. Don't mistake sensory feedback for ergogenic benefit. Focusing on long-term loading and proper dosing is far more important than chasing the itch. Next, let's go over what those proper doses actually are. To get the most out of beta-alanine, you need to consume it consistently and in sufficient amounts. The effective daily intake ranges from about 3.2 to 6.4 grams total. Because taking that all at once can lead to intense tingling, it's best to split it into smaller doses of around 0.8 to 1.6 grams each, spread throughout the day. The loading phase lasts 4 to 6 weeks. During that time, you saturate your muscles with carnosine. Once loaded, you can maintain levels with 1.5 to 3 grams per day. Remember that missing doses may slow progress, so adherence is key. You might wonder when to take those doses. Timing turns out to be less critical, as we'll explore next. Since carnosine builds up gradually, the timing of your beta-alanine doses isn't as important as the total amount you take each day. Studies show there's no significant performance difference between consuming your daily intake pre-workout or splitting it throughout the day. The critical factor is reaching the target daily dosage and sticking with it for several weeks. Some athletes choose to take their doses with meals to reduce any gastrointestinal discomfort, but it's not necessary for efficacy. Focus on consistency and hitting your total daily intake. With the mechanics of dosing out of the way, you might be wondering if you need to tolerate the itch at all. Our next slide answers that. You don't have to put up with paresthesia to reap the benefits of beta-alanine. Splitting your daily intake into smaller doses, such as 4 servings of 1 gram, significantly reduces the prickly sensation. Taking beta-alanine with food can also dampen the itch, and sustained release formulations release the amino acid slowly, so you barely feel it. The intensity of paresthesia varies from person to person, but remember, the itch is optional. Whether you feel it or not, consistent loading still elevates carnosine and enhances performance. Now that you know how to manage side effects, let's identify who stands to gain the most from beta-alanine supplementation. Beta-alanine is most useful for athletes whose sports or training sessions involve sustained high-intensity efforts, lasting between 60 and 240 seconds. Rowers, boxers, combat athletes, and CrossFit enthusiasts often fall into this category because their events require repeated sprints or long sets. Hypertrophy training, 8 to 20 reps to near failure, also fits this energy zone, so bodybuilders can see benefits. Endurance athletes performing repeated bursts and vegetarians or vegans who have lower baseline carnosine stores due to reduced meat intake may see slightly larger gains. In the next slide, we'll consider who can safely skip beta-alanine without missing out. Certain athletes may not need beta-alanine at all. Powerlifters and Olympic lifters focusing on 1 to 5 rep maxes rarely experience acid buildup, so they won't benefit much from carnosine buffering. Sprinters who compete in events under 60 seconds, athletes with very low training volumes, or those who take long rest periods between sets are similarly unlikely to see improvements. If you're looking for a stimulant-like effect, beta-alanine won't provide it. Other supplements may be more appropriate. Take this into consideration when planning your regimen. Now that you know who should and shouldn't take it, let's summarize the overall verdict. In summary, beta-alanine is a genuine performance booster for specific types of exercise, but it isn't magic. The benefits are modest yet meaningful for athletes competing in events with substantial acid buildup. To see results, you need to commit to a 4 to 6 week loading phase and maintain your levels thereafter. The prickling sensation often associated with beta-alanine is optional and has no bearing on performance. Understood in context, beta-alanine can be a useful addition to a targeted supplement strategy. It won't transform your training overnight, but if you're in the right energy zone and consistent with dosing, it may help you push just a bit further. Thank you for joining me on this exploration.